Hi and welcome to Mr. Haas's Big 15 help videos. We're doing problem number 4 this time, and it is dividing decimals. Now the important thing to remember is you read this just like a sentence. We read from left to right. It says this number divided by this number. Okay, well let's write this down and see what we can figure out, okay? We have our numbers 0.612 or 612 thousandths divided by 0.06. Well, when we are dividing something, I have a kind of a thing that hopefully will help us remember. We have the king and we have the peasants. The king always goes first. The peasants always go second. In the case of a fraction, the king would always be up on top. 0.612 divided by, and that's what that line means, divided by 0.06. Okay. And then there's our king on top and the peasants are on the bottom, kind of holding them up. And so this is where the whole thing kind of matches together, how we do our division. We're going to put that bracket thing. Okay? And where would you go if you were the king? Well, of course, you'd go in the castle. So here our king, that first number, goes inside the castle. Okay? There's our 0.612. Where are peasants? Well, they're outside. Of course, they don't get to go in the castle. So there's our 0.06. All right, so we've set it up. This number is being divided by that number. Okay, the one on the inside gets divided by the outside. The one in front gets divided by the one in the back. The one on the top gets divided by the one on the bottom. All three the same. We have a horizontal, a fraction, and we have it in the bracket. And you look at this and you go, oh my gosh, I don't know how to divide by that. There's some decimal places and there's some zeros. This is confusing. There's no way I can do this without a calculator. Well, slow down and think about it a little bit. What we're going to do is we're going to say if we could multiply this thing by 100, each number by 100, things would get a whole lot easier. So if I multiplied this 6 by 100, well, that's this. This is 0.06 times 100. Well, I'm going to end up with 6. Another way of checking this out, notice this. I have 2 zeros, right? That means I have 2 spaces I can move. So I'm going to move 1, 2 spaces. Okay, so now I've got my 6, just like down here. What the king is all upset now because the peasants got to get bigger. Well, let's multiply this to be fair by 100. In other words, we're going to move the decimal place 2 places to the right. And we're going to put the decimal place up on top. Very important that we do that, right aligned. As long as we move the decimal place the same number of spaces on the outside as we do on the inside, everything's going to be fine. Okay? So now, let's rewrite this so it's a little less messy. 6 here. And I now have 61.2. And my decimal place up on top, just like always. Okay, now I can do this, can't I? I know that I can divide 6, will go into 6 one time. 6 times 6 is 6. I do my subtraction, I get a 0. I bring down the 1. How many times can 6 go into 1? It can't. So we've got to remember to put our 0 up here. And then we're going to bring down this 2, right? 2 is going to come down, just like we brought down the 1. Now I've got 12. 6 goes into 12 2 times. 2 times 6 is 12. We do our subtraction. Our answer is 0, and we're done. Now, one thing to remember is that we never in 6th grade, I shouldn't say never, but almost never, when we're doing this, we are not going to have remainders. So you're always going to end up with a number ending in a 0 down at the bottom. So our answer for this problem is 10.2. And if you want to check that one on the calculator, it'll be 10.2 times 0.06. And that will give us that number. Okay, thanks. Hope it helped.